Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Savvy Cast. This is Jamie, and I'm thrilled to have you all here today, whether you're listening on your favorite podcast platform or watching on YouTube. Okay, today we're going to talk about home renovation, and I am joined by my friend who is a cabinet professional who just completed our kitchen and bath redesign renovation, with which I'm thrilled. So I invited Paul Salter of Cabinetry Refinishing to join us today because he is the expert on all things cabinetry. So Paul, thank you for taking time to be on the SavvyCast.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me. Seen a couple of your casts and glad to be a guest. So.
Well, listen, this is great. I will just tell you, anyone watching and listening who follows me on Instagram, Paul led the way. He managed the project. And let me just let everyone know how you ended up managing. I was searching for someone to do cabinets because, in my opinion, your cabinets are the most important. I mean, if you do what I do, you've got to have that squared away. So I found Paul, got great references, and I asked him to just take over the whole project, and he did. And I could not be more pleased with the result. I mean, I wake up and walk into this kitchen and I'm just in love. Bathroom, Paul, your whole team did a great job. And I just want you to help me share with the followers some things that might help them in a possible renovation, because I know you do a whole lot. So first, before we dive into that, can you answer the icebreaker question? What would you choose as your last meal?
I've already got this in my back pocket. It'd be my wife's chicken marsala.
Oh, yum.
It's just my go-to anytime. I think your husband's favorite is your spaghetti thing you do and pasta stuff you do. And so she just she doesn't have to ask me what I want if it's what do I want to cook, Paul? So it's my wife's chicken marsala.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, just tell us about your beautiful family and where you live and just a little bit how you got started and what you're doing.
Sure. So I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, born and raised. Our company, Cabinetry Refinishing Enterprises. It's my family's business. Mom and dad started us 30 years ago. Still involved with the business. I kind of took over with our growth of getting into the bigger things that like we project manage with your house, countertops, backsplash, all the other things that we may talk about at another time. But for the past 12 to 15 years, we have as a company expanded out of just cabinet refinishing, and we've expanded into cabinet refacing, building all new cabinetry, project management for the full renovations like what we did with you. And it's been a really great niche of business. You know, a lot of people nowadays would obviously rather invest in their home, make it the way they want it. They're spending a lot more time in their home than they have in years prior. And I guess that combined with the fact that we're not only a gut your kitchen, I know that we did that with your kitchen, but we're not only a gut your kitchen and redo it. We can kind of take any approach that you want to have with your kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel, or whatever. But everything can start with the simple cabinet work.
Well, and I'll just say that we started out, I wanted to reface. I thought that's what we were doing. And my designer and I just kept having things we wanted to do, and we realized it could not be done with just a refacing. And when I asked you the price difference, I was pleasantly surprised just at your cost. Now we've got other costs that, choosing backsplash or all of that, but can you give people an idea of just from the cabinetry angle, maybe the difference in a total gut versus refacing?
Sure. And we can kind of look at your project as why. Usually when I come into somebody's kitchen or bathroom or whatever space, I just kind of want to hear what you want your space to look like in the end result. Okay. And not only what we want it to look like, but where we want things to be positioned in the space. So where your fridge is, where your appliances are, where your trash can is, where the pantry is. If you have a layout that you like the layout, maybe you want to add to the island a little bit or just change your door styles, the finish. That's when I think you can look at the refacing and the refinishing type of route and save a lot of money versus a gut job. But when you hit a certain level of changes that you want to make with the layout, hey, I want my fridge over here and I want my stove to be there. And I'd really like this cabinet to be built this way. When you hit a certain amount of layout changes that you desire, that's when it kind of makes more sense to gut. With your kitchen, we hit, the fridge stayed in the same spot and the sink stayed in the same spot, some of those areas, but we were changing up the hood area and all of your coffee storage that we did, the coffee bar, the appliance garage, a lot of the island we totally redid and just changed up where everything was stored there and everything was laid out. So you don't have to spend a lot more money for a gut job versus refacing if no matter what you're wanting to change up your whole layout. And when I say layout, it's just a matter of where things are in the space. If you like where a lot of those things are, though, then that's where you can look at the refacing route or the refinishing route to save some money.
Well, I have asked you to come back at a later time, hopefully this year, to do my laundry room. And for that, I will be doing probably a refacing because I just need a few, the placement's fine. I just need better organization, different fronts. But I will say for this kitchen and the bath, it looks absolutely nothing like it did. I cannot get over the storage that I have and just the overall functionality. So I would say to those of you who might cook and that your kitchen is integral to your day-to-day, to me, it has absolutely been worth it to get exactly what I want. And then and in the bathroom as well. I mean, Zane has even said, boy, I'm so glad, because he gained a lot more by the gut job in the bathroom. So I'm glad you clarified that. And then also, if you want new countertops, and even though my sink stayed in the same place, I wanted a larger sink. So lots of things can kick you into a gut job that maybe not even be all cabinetry, correct?
Right. The out of the long explanation, the one statement I can give to kind of, hey, would you be looking at a probably gut job or maybe a refacing route? Is if you think you might need plans to show somebody what you want your kitchen to look, laid out, then you might be looking at the gut route. If you can show somebody in your kitchen, hey, I like where all this is, but I want the doors to be a different color or the hardware to be new, then you may be looking at refacing. So if you need new plans or you think you might want new plans for your layout, then that would lead you to the gut route.
Okay. All right. Well, Paul, let's just start. What I would like to do, I get a lot of questions about the kitchen because I'm in here on Instagram. People ask about some of the same things over and over. So I want to get you to sort of speak to some of this and maybe add a little to what I can answer on a direct message. Sure. But one thing that I get asked about probably more than anything is the area over here, my cooktop, the hood. Okay, that hood is absolutely fabulous. And I had a lot of people saying, where did you get the hood? Where did you get the hood? Can anyone go get that hood? And I did not have, that was part of why I wanted a gut job. I had a microwave mounted above a cooktop. I still have a cooktop. This hood, I just am in love with it. Speak to that, because that's part of what you do.
Sure. So as far as like your cabinet hood per se, it's not like we're the only company that can do that hood. If you're in another state or another city, you just need to find a high quality carpenter more than a home framer or something like that. You may be able to check with your local appliance store. You may have to go searching to find a cabinet style hood like you have.
Most people can find it in a job like you did for us. Somebody's going to be able to get a hood. So it's not exclusive to this job.
Right. It's you'll have any kind of vendor manufacturer. I mean, we have our own partners that specified your exact hood that has your gold band at the bottom.
Yeah.
It may be an inch tall versus somebody in Tennessee may find a vendor and a contractor in their area that it may have a larger band or a shorter by a little bit. So
Yeah.
You can definitely find anything that we did in your home. We can, anybody can replicate those things.
Okay.
Just like when homeowners give us pictures of spaces like you did with a lot of your project and say, hey, can you replicate this?
Right.
If you have a custom contractor, custom cabinet man, then
Uh-huh.
that's kind of what you're looking for versus a big box store or a prefabricated route.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay, and Paul, I probably should have started with this because this is a change that I absolutely love. And you were clear in the beginning that it does cost more, but I wanted it. And a lot of people have asked, they said, are those inset? And, how do you love them? I love them. Can you explain the difference in inset cabinets? And I don't even know what you call the other that I had previously.
Sure. So two main forms of cabinets that you see nowadays. The inset cabinet, which you have, I guess to explain it straightforward, the door fits into the door opening so that the only thing that protrudes out past the face of the cabinet is your hardware, your
Mm-hmm.
handle or your knob. It creates just a sleeker, cleaner look. And that's what a lot of people want to do nowadays. It looks, it's just what is in, and it functions well versus an overlay cabinet style, where the door overlaps the opening. You can hear the term full overlay, where when all of the cabinet doors are closed, all you really see are the cabinet doors and drawers. So it's just a sense of, do you want to see only cabinet doors and drawers, or do you want to have that inset look where you still see the face frame like you have?
Mm-hmm.
It's really just two looks. Neither functions better than the other, but the inset look is it's a lot more of a fresh look.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And then Paul, another thing that I get lots of comments on and that you can't do with a reface, and this is another reason yet again that we chose a gut, is we previously had cabinets that stopped about 12, 24 inches from the ceiling. And I wanted the cabinets to go all the way up, which they do now. And I'll have pictures for all of you to look at in the show notes. I'll have pictures of everything we're discussing, but we took them all the way to the top. And the additional space that we added, we made cabinet fronts. Can you explain? My terminology is not right. And then we put decorative mesh, or you can put glass. Again, that has totally made this kitchen just look amazing. Just the height, it's just amazing. So tell us about how that changes.
So, and that was kind of where with your project, we transitioned to the gut route versus the refacing route. You did have about 2 feet above your cabinetry until you hit your ceiling in your kitchen. And I think from the get-go, we knew that we wanted our cabinets to be built to the ceiling. You can have a custom carpenter or cabinet company like us build your cabinets to the ceiling and then reface your cabinets. All right, that is the one route we were looking at. Goes back to where you did want the sink in the same spot and the fridge in the same spot. But then we took a turn and we also wanted to change in the corners of your room. You had those 45-degree angled corners, and we wanted to have a nice 90-degree angle. We wanted to change the entire, now that is a desk wall for you with your towers. And so, when you have cabinetry go into the ceiling, it's going to give you that bigger, more open look to your space. It can obviously add some really beautiful display cabinetry like you've got. You can also add good storage with that. It's not always going to be your easiest access storage. It's nothing that you're going to be opening daily to get things out of. But when you have cabinetry go into the ceiling, it's going to increase the look of your space tremendously. And then you can use it either for just strictly that beautiful display look, or you can, take it with that efficiency storage too.
Okay. And Paul, let me just say something that you recommended and we did, and I love it. And everyone may not think about it. You had your electrician, whom I adore, Gerald, you had him put lighting in the uppers so we can light just the uppers at night, and it's just a soft, beautiful light. And then the under cabinet lighting, I don't know how it's different from what we had. It's just better. It's wonderful. But the lighting situation, and then you also suggested, I never would have thought of it, to light the coffee station. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad, because in the mornings, I never would have requested that. But in the mornings, if I don't turn that light on, I bet it just lights it up. So, and actually almost everything we open other than our standard drawers has lighting. And is that just something, or is everyone doing that now? Or was that just something y'all thought would be?
10, great question. 10 to 15 years ago, lighting was definitely a luxury. It was something that a lot of people wanted, but it didn't really, you didn't see it done a lot. Now, under cabinet lighting and display lighting, like you're talking about, are pretty standard with kitchen remodels. It doesn't necessarily add a lot of cost, especially if you're already doing things outside of the cabinet work, like backsplash or anything where you're going to be removing tile, where you're already going to be able to access that electrical, which is usually common. But lighting is a big part of cabinetry now. The under cabinet lighting, display cabinet lighting, under countertop lighting, all the other electrical things that we did with your cabinetry, like the USB ports,
Oh, yes.
and
Love
the charging stations. So
Mhm.
not only lighting, but just electrical in general is now a huge component of the cabinet world. It's something that we've got to take electrical into account with every set, where 10 to 15 years ago, you just have a few people wanting under cabinet lights. And
Mhm.
then as far as your question about, lights that people may have, a lot of people, if you do have some lights, may have the older fluorescent lights or the lights that aren't as attractive.
Mhm.
Now you have the LED lighting that's, eco-friendly. It looks real beautiful. It's got the dimmable technology. So, it's just much better as well.
Mhm. Okay. Paul, I want to discuss something that has been a game changer for me. I feel like cabinets, like when you open the cabinet doors, that's just a lot of wasted space unless you're very strategic. And I have to say, I want to start with, I'm going to talk about drawer stacks, which I love, but I'm going to talk about the cabinets and how we literally have maximized every square inch of my cabinets, which before we did this remodel, they were a black hole. Things were shoved in the back. I couldn't get anything. There was no, but can I just tell you, I want you to explain it in the right terminology, where if someone's listening, they can articulate this to their professional. When you open my cabinets, every single cabinet, there's a pull out and then there's an upper. Would you just explain how they're laid out? I
Sure.
actually have, there's no wasted space. How did you do that?
So obviously you've got two different platforms that you're talking about for your storage, your depth and your height. When you
Mhm.
talk about your base cabinets throughout your kitchen or bathroom, your base cabinets are usually 24 inches deep, or they're around that depth. So when you talk about opening a cabinet door and storing things in there, you've got a lot of things that are in the back and behind
Mhm.
behind stuff, where you're having to pull everything out to find what's in the back. So, just a simple interior pull out, that's basically a drawer box that has a notch and pulls out, lets you be able to store everything that you would before, but access it efficiently and know what you have. So if you've got a bunch of canned goods and they're all front to back, you can pull that pull out and not have to take everything out to see what you have. It's kind of, we jokingly say that pullouts, it's kind of like an app for your phone. There's something to organize everything, like we did with your kitchen. We've got trash slot organizer, pots and pans organizers, cookie sheet pullouts. We've got the
Mhm.
pullout for your microwave, the pullout for your charger for in the bathroom with your
Hair
and other
appliances.
other
Mhm.
other appliances. So, as far as utilizing the space, you can always shove everything you want into a cabinet. What the pullouts and interior organization does for your cabinetry, is lets you efficiently use all that space, like you're saying.
Well, and can you, I want, and again, I'll have pictures, but there are two types of pullouts. The ones you're talking about are the drawers. They're like little drawers. You can have thin ones, which I had you all come back. I said, can y'all go ahead and just put even what's the smallest that I have?
So
Is it
we just call them top mount pullouts. So if
okay?
you have a trash slide, say, and you pull that pullout out, let's say there's 20 inches above that trash can that's just wasted space,
Mm-hmm.
you can have an additional pullout mounted at the top of that cabinet as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we take it from. And it's hard to explain it without a visual sometimes,
Yeah.
like you were
Mm-hmm.
stating, but that's where you can take pullouts top to bottom
Mm-hmm.
to maximize the space top to bottom in that cabinet. And then obviously the pullout itself is letting you maximize the depth of that space.
So basically, the type of pullouts that we just discussed, when you shut the cabinet door, you don't see them, but when you open it, you may have one larger pullout, or you may have a stack of 5 thinner ones. But I will just say, those have been so fabulous because I've got utensils in some, linen napkins and others. I mean, there are just so many ways to maximize that cabinet space. Now, the second type of pullout that I would like to discuss, two of my I have it in 3 areas, is the beautiful pullout where you've painted the whole interior of the coffee station, appliance station, and my office area. And the pullouts they're not like a drawer. They're like a beautiful platform. I've got beautiful hardware. I can pull them out. We did pocket doors. Paul, what would your recommendation be for someone who maybe wants to have that level of customization in their cabinetry? What would they need to consider? Because it is more, it is a little more expensive.
Well, with the platform pullouts, those are your display cabinets. I know those are closed to the public, if you will, or whoever's in your home when the doors are closed, but you can open those spaces, push back those pocket doors, let it stay open and be a display cabinet too in its own right. So when you have a platform pullout like you're talking about, you don't have to reach down into a pullout, because what you're doing usually is mounting something to use, like your microwave or your KitchenAid or an electric can opener. So it's really good for smaller handheld type appliances that you may want to access easily. We've got them in your appliance garage as well. They're really nice when you're really wanting to access those smaller appliances, or access, we've had people in the office cabinets put their computers on them, things like that. So.
And that's one thing too, when you're doing that, I highly recommend using your beautiful hardware that you use on the cabinets to pull out, because my pullouts they're a little bit heavy. So I love having that hardware, but love, love, love those. And I'll include pictures. Okay. So Paul, now we're going to talk about, we've done the coffee station. I do want to share how we did the coffee station. We have the lighting, but we tiled the back of the coffee station the same backsplash as the kitchen. Don't regret a minute of that. It's just beautiful. We have the lighting, so it lights up. You did adjustable shelving in almost every space, and I absolutely love that. Is that standard, or do people specifically need to request that they be able to move all the interior shelves?
Pretty standard now, just so that, like you're saying, depending on what you're storing height-wise, you can maximize that space. You do have fixed shelving and you do the refacing route or any type of remodel at all, and you're going to reuse cabinetry. A lot of times you can convert those cabinets to adjustable shelving as well. It's something that is really nice to have as part of the cabinet set for sure.
Okay. Paul, this is another thing I want to move now to the bathroom. I did something that I don't know if it's common, but I think I only have 2 cabinets. I only have 2 right under the sink. And then we did drawer stacks. I absolutely love that. And even, Paul, how wide are mine? Are very, very wide, but we stacked them. I highly recommend that, but is that something that's pretty unique to my job, having them that wide and that many?
So you've got a wide drawer stack. I think your bathroom drawer stacks are about 36 inches wide.
I think that's right.
Anytime you get a little wider than that, no matter how sturdy the cabinet is or the drawer is, you can still have a possibility to overweight it. So we did maximize the width of your drawers. Now, you don't see a lot of that in bathrooms and spaces, but a lot of that goes back to also the pull-out conversation. In the kitchen, and I'm not trying to go back to the kitchen, but in the kitchen, we almost did drawers everywhere.
Yeah.
We wanted to pull everything out, but you don't want to have that cookie cutter of a look. You want to have some visual change up of the facings when everything's closed. So your layout, we did, maximize those drawer stacks, giving you a bunch of storage on your side, Zane a bunch of storage on his. It's something that not a lot of people, drawers just add cost. Anything that you're talking about with the cabinetry, not only the lumber for the cabinet, but the hardware. So with drawers, you have the glides and the boots and the attachment pieces and the clips. So anytime you're talking about drawers versus doors, usually it's just going to drive up your project cost a little bit. But as far as, efficiency and storage, drawers / pullouts are definitely much more efficient than a door storage.
Absolutely. And I love my drawers. And on my side of the kitchen bathroom, I have an outlet or several outlets, and all except I think the top, I have outlets at the baseboard. We have so many outlets, and I will say I use all of them. I don't know why I use so many outlets, but we do. But that's one thing I would say to keep in mind. And then, Paul, one thing that I absolutely love, and this is another thing that we did totally gut the bathroom, and I never knew it would be so aesthetically magnificent, is instead of doing tile on the walls or just sheetrock and a ledge, you paneled the entire back wall and did a conceal door. It's gorgeous. I'll have pictures, but I know that's more costly a little bit, but can you explain maybe to people how that's a different look, why they might consider that versus just sheetrock?
Sure. So with, it's the picture mold / wainscoting type of look that we did with your bathroom and the water closet door. It's a great way, any type of paneling on your wall of your room. It's going to add that accent. We were battling or deciding rather that versus tile with your bathroom. And I don't think we wanted the tile to overwhelm the tile in the other spaces. So it's a great way to add accent to the space without overtaking any other tile areas, and just add a feature, but an accent to the space. It did add a little bit of cost to your project, but it adds so much look for what it adds.
It makes the room seem almost like an older home, like you would see in an older home. It does not have a spec look.
It just speaks to the custom work. There's the only when you walk into a space like that and you see a full wall that's paneled and custom molded like that, you just have to know that it was done by hand on site right there, not something that was fabricated in a warehouse and come and just installed. So it adds a big custom feature to the house for sure, or the space.
Okay. And then can you speak to, now we did, and I don't know if this is common, but I recommend it if you have a professional who can do it. How tall would you say and my designer suggested it. I don't know that I would have thought of it. She said, don't break up the cabinet. So the doors are tall. What? My goodness,
I want to say they're probably 60 inches, 70 inches tall, somewhere in there. So they're pretty tall. They're your standard pantry size cabinet doors, as far as height wise. Usually when you see an upper cabinet door, like in your kitchen, it's around 40 inches tall, give or take. You've got different standard heights. That's just around the height there. So your bathroom cabinets, we went to the ceiling, and we also took them all the way down to the countertop, so it's a nice wall of tower cabinetry right there. And rather than breaking it up, in the kitchen, we were to the ceiling and we broke it up because we had the display cabinets up top. That shows a break point. With the bathroom, we did the single door just because we weren't doing any display. And if you're going to have two doors on top of each other, sometimes it can just make the space look busy. It's a lot of remodels now. While you're doing a lot to make it so fresh and beautiful, a lot of it is about simplification and just simplifying the looks and streamlining.
Paul, another thing that I love in the bathroom, and I want you to just quickly speak to, is my recessed medicine cabinet. It's beautiful. I will say, I had you put a mirror. Then I said, no, I want the wood, the wood, because I would look at the other side and I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. But then I now put the mirror back. So I have both. I've got the door if I ever change my mind, but I love it. And we've got outlets in it. It's like a piece of art on the wall. Is that something you do a lot, or how would someone know if they can have that in there? You have to have the space.
So it's just, I mean, you've always got space in your house for a recessed cabinet into the wall because you've always got cavity in your walls. We came about that with your home because the plans that your designer had drawn up did call for a tower on that vanity. But remember, we were discussing it in the plans, and you didn't want to have to take up your countertop space. You said that was the one thing that you didn't want to do. And when you said that to us, we said, well, what about a recessed cabinet in the wall? So it is something that is definitely common, can be done. It's usually something that, you know, your contractor's not going to bring up to you on the front end. You may want to say, hey, can we add some extra storage some way, any type of recessing into it? Similar to your bathroom, a lot of times you see it in kitchens. People have a refrigerator that sticks out too far into the room. You can sometimes recess your fridge back into the wall a little bit too. So, you know, it's great to be able to do that with any type of cabinet because you save counter space, you save space into the room, and then you're giving yourself more storage that's not taking up any other space you would have lost otherwise. So.
Okay. And Paul, as we wind this down, I did not mention this, but I want to circle back into the kitchen. And I don't know if we could have done this with a refacing, but the panel refrigerator and the panel dishwasher, is that all? Panel ready appliances? Oh my goodness. Absolutely love it. Do you have to gut in order to do that?
Yeah, you don't have to gut in order to do that, but you do have to get new appliances. That is something that's commonly, we get calls all the time about, is people will call and say, hey, I want you to build a panel for my fridge and install it. Well, you do have to buy what's called a panel ready appliance. So you don't have to gut your kitchen, but you do have to get a new appliance. Usually whoever you're getting that appliance from can refer a cabinet professional in the area to get a panel with you. And appliances have kind of taken, like your kitchen appliances have taken that additional, you know, an added jewelry to your kitchen type of look. You know, it's now a beautiful feature where a lot of times in the past, you're picking appliances to pick what's the most attractive out of all that I'm battling. Now you're picking appliances that really add to the beauty of the kitchen and the space.
Right. Okay. And then I think this is the last thing that I want to toss in because I'm sitting here in my kitchen at my island. Cannot say enough about how we maximized every square inch of this island. And one thing, you know, we did drawers and the pullouts on the part near the sink, but where I'm sitting with the bar stools, and I almost didn't do this because I didn't know that I would use it. I use it multiple times a week. On the other side, where you typically just sit with your bar stools, we put soft close doors. And then when you open, there are pullouts. I love those. Is that something most people think to request? Because I don't know what I would do without it. I put heavy skillets and things that I don't want to weigh down the drawers in these.
Yeah. The push to open latches is what we've got installed on the doors, where instead of having a knob or a handle, you can push in it a little bit and it clicks it and presses the door open. It's great for the backside of the island like you've got because it kind of gives a panel appearance. You don't have the hardware cluttering the space, but it lets you open the cabinet easy. And then those pullouts and then just the backside storage of the island. Like you said, a lot of people think that, hey, that's where my stools are. I'm not going to use storage there a lot. And again, it doesn't have to be storage that you access 3 or 4 times a day. But you would be surprised at how much times a week you will go and grab things out of that cabinet. So
absolutely.
I jokingly will tell people I can build as many cabinets wherever and you'll find some things to put in them. So
you sure will. Well, Paul, can you tell everyone, like if someone's here locally, or how far outside do you go outside of Birmingham, or what's your radius that you serve?
We'll travel. We will travel. We just, you know, depending on the distance, we'll charge for travel fees in Birmingham, Alabama, and we'll usually travel anywhere. You know, we've traveled down to the Gulf Coast for people's beach properties. We've traveled up to the mountains for people's mountain properties. Usually we are just working in the central Alabama area though.
Okay. And what's your lead time right now? If someone said, hey, you know, I want you to come redo my kitchen.
So depending on the project, we usually stay anywhere from 2 to 3 months booked out. In today's industry, especially whether you're talking to us or another, professional about doing some space, if anybody's very available, with the way the industry is, I might wonder why they're so available. So,
Yeah.
anybody good is booked out a little bit. As far as if you're not in our area, usually just Googling high-end carpentry. Usually you can find some woodworking shops around town or some custom cabinet shops just from good old Google.
Okay. Well, Paul, is there anything that I've not thought to ask or mention that you think we might need to share or
I,
be?
I I think it's all about when you talk about renovating your kitchen and especially or bathroom or whatever space, and it's also starting with your cabinets. It's really about your layout. How are you going to use the space? I know that in the end of a remodel, everybody's worried about how pretty is it going to be and how is it going to be shown off. But on the front end, you also have to equally, if not more so, think about how you're going to use that space. And
Mhm.
so when you're starting any type of project out, it's really just wanting to, anytime you're going to quote, get work or have anybody come and talk with you about working with you on your home, having any type of direction of where you want to take things will help you get some feedback quicker from people.
Right. Well, Paul, I so appreciate your time. And again, I could not be happier with the space y'all created, and I'm grateful. And I will put how to reach you, how to contact you all. Everything will be in the show notes, and you're welcome anytime.
And enjoyed it and look forward to the next one with you. So,
Till the laundry room. Okay. All right, Paul, thank you. And you have a great rest of your day.
thanks, Jamie. Talk soon.
Thank you, Paul.